Thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Nikki. I'm the Director of Training with PRPS. If you have the ability to show us your face and unmute yourself, please do. We have a small group today. We may have some more people joining us. I know the weather may have affected some people. We kind of threw this one together a little bit last minute after last week's programming roundtable to talk about movies and concerts in the parks and other special events. Mike, I know this was a hot topic for you, so I don't know if there's something specific we want to bring up now or just general discussion. So I'm going to kind of throw it to you if you want to start, and then again, for the rest of you on the call, please feel free to unmute yourself and join the discussion.
Sure. Thanks, Nick. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm just searching for what other people are doing and some form of answers. Whitpain hasn't made up its mind exactly what we're doing yet. We traditionally do a fairly good, I'll call it, concert series. You know, we do 4 concerts and spend in the neighborhood of 4,000 to 6,000 per band. Get anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people out on our gazebo circle to hear them, that kind of thing. And then we do movies every other week in the park on Thursday nights, and not nearly as big, but we'll get 300 to 500 people for a movie. Obviously, with what's going on, you know, we didn't do our series last year. In the fall, we did offer a drive-in movie where we had to rent our inflatable screen is just not big enough. It's 15 by 18, not nearly big enough for a drive-in. So we're looking at what we're doing this year, and I can still get the bands and I can still, you know, hold the concert on the gazebo, you know, lawn area, and we can social distance, and I can spend $5,000 to put, you know, 400 people, and I just don't think that financially is worth it. Kurt and I actually have a meeting with Montgomery County on Wednesday with the Board of Health to see what they think their regulations are going to be going through this summer. But the loose conversation with the woman to set up the meeting was, in her opinion, whatever's in place now, you should plan on being in place through the summer. So we're just, you know, looking to see what, you know, other people might be doing. If anyone has an answer, we don't. We're tinkering with dropping $10,000 on a bigger screen to be able to do drive-in movies all the time. With that becomes the challenge of an FM transmitter that can only transmit by FAA regulation, RCA, I mean, 200 feet. So now we're looking at different apps that might be out there so people can play the audio to the movie over their phones and connect to their Bluetooth, that kind of thing. We're looking at drive-in concerts, which I think a drive-in concert's about as bad an idea you can have. I mean, people come to our concerts for our, you know, what we call the red cup rule. You know, if I don't know what's in the red cup, I'm not going to ask you. And they like to you know, drink their red cups and get up and dance and have a good time. And I don't think we can promote that while they're driving. And then the other, you know, aspect of it was special events, and the one I'm particularly interested in, if seen anyone's still going to run this year, is we do a touch a truck night. We call it the Big Rig Roundup, where, you know, we get 60, 70 pieces of apparatus from local construction companies and stuff, and the kids climb in them and honk the horns and, you know, do all this. And if there's anybody that has, I have concerns for the crowd and being able to distance, and young kids wearing masks, and the common contact areas of climbing in and out of the vehicles. So I'm just really looking to see what other people might be doing.
Now, your drive-in movie last year, you used through the car radio. You did that last year, or?
We did, but we limited the number of cars. You know, we only allowed 60 cars to come. You know, yeah, it was a pre-registration kind of thing, and we charged for it. Typically, our movies are free. So we were able to be within the 200-foot radius of the FM transmitter, but if we expand the program, we won't be able to.
And have you looked at any of the apps yet? I know PRPS is looking at doing Technology Tuesdays, and we can do some background research and try to get some of the people who do the apps or have used the apps to participate in those webinar series, if that's helpful.
That would be very helpful. I can get you the name of the one app that we've looked at. I know Upper Dublin is looking at apps, And we on the one movie that we did contract out a company to come and run it, they had an app that I don't believe was exclusive to them. And I mean, look, if we're paying $10,000 for a screen, I don't mind paying $100 a year to be able to have access to an app. You know, it's
Others on the call, any thoughts for Mike? Are you running any programs? I know Touch a Truck is a hugely popular program. I used to run it at the agency I worked with. I believe some people have actually, I thought I saw someone did it virtually last year, which I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it takes away that, like, the true fun of a Touch a Truck event.
you're not touching it. It's look at a truck night then.
It's a truck on Zoom. So any thoughts and feedback? What makes these roundtables great is when we can actually share a little bit of everyone. If you're not sure how to unmute yourself, you can click the microphone in the bottom left of your screen. You can actually also put your thoughts in the chat box as well.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
Hey, it's Chris from Allentown. I'm kind of up the road from Quakertown a little bit. We have not gotten really word or direction yet. I oversee all the concerts in Allentown, and I know my coworker oversees the movies as well. And we're just planning, actually reaching out to all the bands. We have about 60 concerts throughout the local municipal bands. We're not sure what's going to happen, so we're just kind of scheduling the concerts and waiting to see what the rules and regulations are. I know my coworker's working on the movies, and he's tossed around the idea of the drive-in movies, but like Mike had mentioned, all the challenges and whatnot, like a prime location for it or anything like that. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Mike, trying to hear what everyone else is doing.
Right.
But we're not really sure because we have an old band shell in one of our parks. It's surrounded by 2 one-way streets, and the demographic is the senior citizens, so that would be challenging as well. And we have a rain location as the indoor senior center, which is super awesome. And people know if it rains, they can go inside indoors to watch the concerts, so that we don't have any canceled concerts to go too far into September or October for the concerts. So that's just kind of what's going on in Allentown, but I don't really know any more than what you guys know.
Yeah, I really just wanted to.
Were you able to run any of your movies or concerts last year, or were they completely canceled?
They were all completely canceled. Not to switch topics, but I know for field rentals, we allowed them for maybe a month, and then we had to pull permits for everyone in regards to that, including our pools, summer playground program, and whatnot. And I know we're hoping to get back to field rentals again because I oversee those as well. But
So
we're
you're
not
still
sure.
not running fields?
Currently, we are not, but we have not gotten word if we are moving forward with receiving permits and whatnot. We just got a new scheduling software, so
Okay.
it's kind of perfect timing where we can say, put your request in, make an account, and we'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. But we're not sure.
We are renting our fields and that kind of thing, and part of it is because I look at like the bar down the street and they're having their bands and things like that, but I feel that we have to be we're local government. We have a responsibility to lead by example and not to push the rules and bend the rules and say, well, there's a loophole here. Like I think it's our responsibility to reinforce what the counties are trying to do and really lead by example. So
definitely,
I feel that we're a little handcuffed compared to what other places might be doing, but the public sees what other places are doing and then complains when I cancel things.
Sure. And I know our administration actually removed all the basketball rims, and they're still currently down.
See, we put them up once we went green phase. We put our rims back up.
Gotcha. And we as Parks and Rec are hoping that the rims get back up, obviously, for the kids to be active and get outdoors was the main thing for us. So we're hoping for
hopefully
that.
by the spring,
Yes.
I mean, if they're off now, it doesn't matter. Your courts are under what, 18 inches of snow?
Yep,
Yeah, just so
exactly.
you know, Karen.
4
the-
inches of
the
ice.
Air
Yep.
circulation in there, I mean, it gets.
Yeah,
And
I had had to reschedule a meeting to look at our pickleball courts to get resurfaced for the last 3 weeks, because every time I'm supposed to have the site visit,
With COVID or
and we get dumped on
non-COVID,
again.
I think something needs to be.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
done.
we have a good winter going, I
See there,
think,
I know
you know?
it's
This is
already
the
in the
first
first
time in a while.
We're at
The
now,
Farmer's
but
Almanac
that is
lied.
a
It
real
said it was not
concern
going
of
to be a
mine,
snowy winter.
and even more so now with.
And
So-
COVID
it looks like
everything, they're
BK
saying
is
with
putting
the
up a
indoor
bunch of different
spaces and,
transmitter apps there in the chat box, so thank you for that, BK.
all of that stuff, so.
I will share
As I put
something
in
that
there, if we
I'm
can
with
get
the
a
local
ventilation
Rotary
system
Club
in that
here,
cedar,
and
my
we did a
recommendation is
fundraiser
to
with
close that
the
100%.
Jana Marie Foundation, which is a teen suicide prevention organization, and they do these annual fundraisers. And what they did was they did a car hop. They used the local mall, big parking lot. They put a stage on the top of a tractor trailer, truck.
Flatbed, yeah.
Yeah, on a flatbed there. Yes, that's a good word. And they had 50s bands and a couple of acts come up, and people would park. The Rotary Club was the parking committee. We'd park them in front of the flatbed, and then we would take their orders, and we had a couple of local food trucks show up. And then the Rotary and other volunteers would take orders at the car window and go fill the orders at the food trucks, bring them back to the people. In the meantime, the whole, the bands were playing, and, they just used their regular amplification. There wasn't any tuning or stuff, but that was a neat activity to do, in COVID times, and the fundraiser worked out great for the organization. So that was an idea for you.
Great.
So I'm from Mifflinburg, which is really tiny in comparison to what you guys do, but we did our concert series last year. We just waited till everything went green. And then we thought about doing the circles, and we have a large lawn area around our gazebo where the bands usually perform. And they're never attended in huge amounts. If we get a couple of hundred residents that are attending, that's really good. We decided we'd try it and see what happened because it was outside once things went green. And we really didn't have any problems with it. People kind of self-policed, but like you, we're a local government. So we were prepared that if the first one or two didn't go so well and people didn't listen, we would just cancel them from, after that. But we were able to complete that for the whole summer. And we do them on a weeknight, so they're not crazy or whatever. But we did manage that. The events, like we do a safety fair, which is kind of like the national night out, but it's like our little town's version, our police department's version. And we canceled that last year because we couldn't find a way around to do that wasn't crazy. But I'd love to hear ideas on that if there's something to look at for that. We do the 4th of July is what I was kind of trying to hear what people had thoughts on today. Our community has always done a 5K race, and I don't see how that, I can't envision how that works. So I was wondering if anybody had any of those events over the last year and what that looked like, as well as did you let like your softball and Little League and all those things go on? And do you plan to do that with or without restrictions this year?
Thanks, Margaret. We let all of our youth sports go. Like I said, once we turned green, youth sports went with the, every organization, every youth sports organization had to submit a COVID plan to me. I reviewed it, sent it off to the county health department. They signed off on it, and then we allowed them to use the fields. And the biggest thing that everybody had, and this is what I kept telling the youth sports is, give me a realistic plan you're going to follow, because I'm going to hold you to it. So if the county's looking for 5 points, put 5 points on a piece of paper. Don't put 30, because if you put the 30, I'm going to go and enforce them. And the big thing that the county came back with was masks. They wanted the spectators and the participants. And look, I got an 11-year-old daughter who plays soccer. She's running around with a mask on playing soccer. It's tough, but it's what they want. Even the high school wrestlers down here are wearing masks while they're wrestling. So we are full bore ahead on youth sports with the caveat that you're wearing the mask. And we put, hand sanitizing stations are in all the parks now, and the football organization chose to do a temperature check. When the kids came in, that was not required, but it was something they chose to do. I'm really interested to hear your 4th of July input, because we do a community festival in September, but part of it is fireworks. And we pair with Montgomery County Community College, and this year they got a new president, and they're doing an inauguration week for the president, and that's in April, and we're pairing with them in that, which is going to be a drive-in movie and fireworks. And the way the college is running it is you got to stay in your car for the fireworks, which I think is difficult in the back seat, this and that, but they're doing it. But here again, fireworks, if you've done them, a decent fireworks display, the rule of thumb is $1,000 a minute. So if you're having 15 minutes of fireworks, you're spending 15,000. You want people to sit out there in their blanket and ooh and ah at everything, and not go, oh, I can't see because dad's got the visor down and mom's head's in the way. And I'm curious to how you're going to handle that. And then the other thing I have is pony rides and petting zoos, and if anybody's having any thoughts of doing them.
I could talk about a 5K that we continue to run. We will have our 5K this year. And we do a combination, either virtual or you can actually show up in-house and run it. The difference with our 5K, it's a trail run. So it's not on the open road. So we design it such that people can go multiple different ways to get their 5K in. So it's a good fundraiser for us and works well. I have a question on the concerts or movies with concessions. Do you continue to do anything, or is everything prepackaged?
We're still doing ours, but we don't. Like years ago, we used to set up a grill and sell hamburgers and stuff. Now we have Kona Ice and their truck, and Chick-fil-A comes with, and so they are kind of prepackaged, and we just get 10% of their sales. So we're out of the liability game, and again, everything's done to a standard of an already existing restaurant.
I just want to real quickly say hi, Bernie. I haven't seen you in a while, so I just.
Hey, Nikki, good to see you. Tell Tim I said hello.
I will. Sorry, that's just a personal interruption to this. I know we did talk last week about concessions as well, and there was a mixed variety of people doing it prepackaged and the traditional way. So that was a great question. One thing we brought up in the small breakout room last week too was with concerts in the park, the availability to live stream them. And has anyone thought of that? If you're doing a concert in the park, have you approached your bands and looked at the opportunity to live stream that and how you could go about doing that? Has anyone done that?
So Nikki, I thought that was a great suggestion at that roundtable last week. I have an email into the Amish Outlaws asking if they would mind. My smaller bands, I don't think, because I believe there's going to be an expense associated with it that I'm not going to do for a smaller band that the draws that they're local. They play the local bars, so I want people to come out. But with Amish Outlaws, if they don't mind, then I'm going to try to do that, because that's also our first concert of the summer. So I kind of want to put it out there to 18,000 residents that yes, we're having concerts, we're open for business. Like, plan on us.
If you do it, or if you get more information, let me know how it goes and we can share it with the group.
Certainly.
I have a question for you guys. You both, you and Mike and Chris, you both mentioned that you're still awaiting, guidance, I guess, from the health department or your the councils. You guys have any idea when that might come out?
No, that's the problem. That we're completely. We are completely at the mercy of whenever Montgomery County wants to announce something, and then I still have to get approval. Then I do a write-up and give it to my township manager. If he's good with it, we send it off to the board of supervisors, and if they're good with it, so even from the time new guidelines are announced or new guidance is announced, I'm a month away from being able to implement my stuff. which is, it's tricky, certainly. But one thing that did help, and I didn't know, since I got two of you here, is PRPS thinking about updating. You guys had done a multi-page kind of chart with colors and safe things and, you know, indoor sports and contact sports and non-contact sports, and an update to that would be very helpful.
We're in the process right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the last two roundtables kind of convinced us that we needed to update that. And I also put in the chat, the CDC did update their guidance for administrators in parks and rec facilities in January of, that's supposed to be January 2021. So they did just recently do that. I don't know if there's a lot of change. I just know they did that.
To whoever asked the vendor question, the food question at the concerts and movies, I told you what we're doing for our concerts and movies. For our summer camp program, we have eliminated our lunch program. We are no longer serving lunch as an option. The kids are going to bring their lunches. We are going to 1 day a week give them the option to send in $2, and we'll order a bunch of pizzas, and they get a slice of pizza for $2. But we used to actually contract with the school cafeteria company and have access to the kitchens and serve lunches to the kids, and it was never a good money maker for us anyway. It was more of a convenience to parents thing, and it's just, again, it's a liability that I am not. My camp staff is 16 to 22-year-old kids. I don't want to get into, you know, trusting that they wiped everything down and did this right and did that right, and we're just removing that option.
Chris also has no idea when they'll get a response moving forward. So that always makes the job fun.
You're gonna get I'm sure you'll get kind of backlash somewhere along the line, especially when you say we're only.
Chris, you want to chime in there? I can hear in the background, so.
Yeah, sorry about that. That brings up a good point about the summer camp, because we run a summer camp as well at 18 playground sites throughout the city, both city and school district sites. So we're still waiting to hear if we're allowed on school district sites. But I know the big kind of buy-in from the community is we have a free lunch program. So that's through the state, through the school district who delivers the lunches. But I took notes of that Quakertown is not doing that and limiting that, and we're not even sure what's going on with the playground program currently.
Well, Chris, just to give you 2 points of clarification. First of all, I live in Quakertown. I work for Whitpain Township, so I'm up in Montgomery. I'm up in Blue.
Sorry.
No
Gotcha.
No problem. I'm you know, Quakertown proud here, but they didn't hire me. And the other thing is I think if we had the option, because I know Quakertown School District does the option in the summer of their meal program. If we had that kind of program available, I think we might take advantage of it. I'm not putting us out there where I have my staff preparing and serving meals. If the school district wanted to package meals and offer them to the kids that need it, I would completely get on board with that. I don't want the liability in my department's lap.
Understood.
You have a mix of agencies that in the summer have offered the meal programs, and it all depends. And Mike, I agree. If I was still running summer camps, there is no way I would offer a food program that my staff would handle. Now, we did pizza days as well, hugely popular, but the contact was minimal.
Right.
And I'll just share, we do have a summer camp roundtable this Thursday at noon. So if anyone wants to hop on, that will have more detailed information about the summer camps. So that's there as well.
That's going to be huge. You're going to have a full chart for that one, I'm sure.
Well, Mike, I think you hit on an interesting point, and I don't want to take the conversation somewhere else, but COVID has really affected things for the past year and going forward. And you're all starting to take a hard look at your programs and trying to figure out what's viable, what's not, given the new situations. But it's also creating some opportunities where you can look at your programs really objectively and say, you know, is this one worth carrying on with all the, all the restrictions I have to do, or is my money and time better spent going for these more, these other programs. So it is, as terrible as it is, it's also an opportunity to, really examine what you're doing and how it all fits in your budget and, your service to the community.
Oh, certainly, Dan. It's forcing everyone to adapt, and because it's not going away. We're going to get the vaccine and this and that, and it's going to become a yearly, kind of like the flu season, but it's never going to go back to where we were in 2019, in my opinion. So the agencies are able to adapt and come up with some new and creative programs and ways of doing things are going to be fine. And to my bosses, but to Kurt's point, we got to stay relevant. We cut so many programs last year. We got to stay needed. I mean, and for 1 year you miss your budget mark, and you go, oh look, it was a pandemic. Nobody knew it was going to happen. You get a free pass, but we don't get a free pass in 2021. So we got to find ways of putting numbers of people's in our programs and generating enough revenue to pay for our department.
Right. What other questions do we have for the group? And if the group can't answer it, what can we do to find answers for you? Like I said, we do have the summer camp roundtable, and we do have the opportunity to ask those folks as well. And we have other outlets that we can find answers and reach out to clarify some things. And BK, thank you for sharing all those links in the chat box. That's a huge help. As a reminder, the people on this call will send out the full recording and the chat box text, which will include all of those links.
Good. So I don't have to scribble them down.
No,
I have not been able to find anything on fireworks yet, so I imagine people are still thinking about that. I just know here in State College last year, what they did is they still held the fireworks, but they suggested viewing points in different areas around town.
Good idea.
And that way they kind of said, okay, and the businesses allowed it too. So like, the grocery store on this side of town, you face this way. If you're over on this side of town, face this way. And then the businesses did not complain about people using the parking lots and things. And I imagine if it's grocery stores or small businesses, they're going to gain some business from that anyways.
Sure.
People are going to come in before the fireworks.
To BK's point, that was the best decision they could have made locally. I lived in an apartment on a bike path, and some people from my apartment building and we just walked up the bike path, and we saw from 2 points the fireworks. So on one side, we saw them very close and very clearly. And then from the distance, we saw another set of the fireworks. So the fact that we could see multiple sets of them at the same time, and I know the local radio station also they usually do music with the fireworks. It was spectacular. It's always a huge event here locally. It's not put on by the Park and Rec department. It's put on by is it the Downtown Improvement District, I think.
It's the
or
Fourth
the
Fest. It's big. It's big.
And
But they didn't have the, instead of from one location, they shot fireworks from 4 different locations in town. And as BK said, they set up multiple sites where people could watch it easily. And then they dropped all the other stuff. Like they usually have a big, fair type of thing going on, and, close viewing, you could buy tickets to. All that was dropped. They just said, forget it. We're just going out for the people. And it was a nice move on their part.
And it was where I saw it from, the whole neighborhood walked out. The whole bike path had people on it, but everyone respectfully social distance. It was incredible. It was really well done.
Does anybody have experience in the new environment or guidelines or again, PRPS, if it's going to be included in your guidelines on carnival games and inflatables? The inflatable slides and moon bounces and obstacle courses and all those kinds of things.
That's on the CDC website too, so we'll get
Is
that
it?
out to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and of course the CDC is just guidelines. You got to, I know there's a couple of counties, Philadelphia County, Allegheny County, and another one that have gone there, have their own set of regulations now. So you have to really pay attention to your county too.
And
Yeah.
like when we redo that set of guidelines that we have, when we did that document, there was a whole section of each. So there was aquatics, there was programs, there was whatever.
Right.
I'm writing notes down so we can make sure we hit on those specific topics. So under special events, we can make
Thank
sure
you.
we hit stuff like carnival.
Because that document was incredibly helpful for me, because I could take that when I made the recommendation to my manager and the board of supervisors. I could say, look, this is the state, this is what the state's recommendation, you know what I mean? This is the standard in the industry. So we're not asking for anything ridiculous. We're just asking for, to be within, industry standards and guidelines.
I made a note that we can pull that information to include it.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, any other topics that we want to hit on?
I'm curious if anyone has, touched out to their small business associations in your areas, or even, like your counties and things, because I imagine the businesses in your areas have been struggling just as much, if not even more. And so I'm sure they're looking for partnerships and collaboration ideas to stimulate getting people to show up and things like that. Has there been any examples of some of these potential partnerships or collaborations out there? Even, like at the camps, if you're not willing to take on the liability of feeding, is there food trucks in the area, or are there people that are willing to do packed lunches for those groups and those and deliver it every day, or things like that?
BK, that's a good idea, and definitely a route to explore for our events. Like I told you, we use Chick-fil-A and Kona Ice for our concerts and movies, but for other events and because I'm sure those are businesses that are hurting and are looking to get out there and promote themselves. We've partnered with a lot of fitness and gym places, karate studios, things like that either haven't been able to be open or have been very limited numbers. And we're doing a lot with them, whether it's virtual classes or outside in our parks programs, to help promote them, and we're getting a discount on what they would normally charge us to run the program. So that's been a win-win partnership for us. And we've run PRPS D3. We ran a golf outing in the fall that was very successful. And I just had a meeting on Friday. My township, we run a golf outing in conjunction with our cooperation with our police association. And that's scheduled for June 21st, and we are moving full steam ahead with holding that outing. The only thing that we're not going to do is have the indoor, dinner, banquet afterwards. We're going to have it outdoor and spread it out. But the outing, the luncheon, the raffle tickets, the prizes, the beer on the course, all those things are moving ahead.
Yeah, the golf industry has taken off over the past year because they were allowed to operate and things.
Yep. Golf and trail usage are through the roof.
And you can't find any gardening supplies anywhere because everybody's at home gardening or community gardening and opportunities to do things outside.
I'm going to wait about another 6-8 months, and then I'm going to start searching for a very slightly used kayak that somebody bought and never used, because you can't buy one right now, but they're all going to be on sale, in a couple months when people realize that they aren't using them.
It's the same with bikes too.
Yep. Oh, our local Walmart was picked clean of bikes for months, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And home exercise equipment you can't get. I'm municipal rec. I can't afford a Peloton, but there's like a 2 or 3 month wait to get one.
There was a great Saturday night skit on Peloton, and
No, I missed it.
it was good. It was the instructors were negative instead of positive. It was just very funny.
Have folks been talking about car shows yet? Because I know that's kind of a big thing, and the season comes up once it's getting nice. Have those been full steam ahead since you're not really touching anything and just walking through? Or because I know that there's a couple of municipalities where the car show is the big draw to the town and things like that.
We don't do one here. To your point, though, you're not touching. It's just a matter of controlling the crowd size. And then, just out of curiosity, people that are running special events, what are your mask enforcement policy? I'm going to call it. You know, people are in your parks. How tough are you on? Hey, you're supposed to have your mask on. When it's open park usage, when they're around the playground or you know, on their own, I kind of will say, hey guys, remember your mask. And if they want to give me a hard time, I walk away. You know, I'll learn how to deal with it better on Thursday when we have the de-escalation workshop. But when we're running an event, when it is our touch a truck night or something, you know, I mean, we're talking about, do we want to have our full, you know, our park attendant staff out there, and which again is 21-year-old kids. Do we want to have them policing and possibly getting in confrontations with people over a mask, or are we just going to let it go? But then we're going to have complaints from people who are in masks that are upset that they're like, we're just, I don't know the answer on the level of enforcement.
I'm going to go one step with that. Do any of you have volunteer police officers or volunteer park security that would help enforce that if there was an issue? I mean, you see Walmart situations where it's a 16-year-old, 17-year-old who gets harassed. So when you're in a park setting, it could be even worse. I think that's a great question.
So we have our fire police, which we were talking about, trying to have help monitor it. But again, do we want to be confrontational, and do we want to have an outcry? And honestly, if we do, are we going to have our supervisor support at the end, or do we get overridden and then we really look bad?
Yeah, it's sometimes a lose-lose situation, because you don't want to upset the people who want people to wear masks by getting in a, you know what I mean? If you get in that confrontation, you're going to be in a bad situation. But if you don't get in that confrontation, you could be in a bad situation.
Exactly.
I would say on a liability side of things, looking at it, part of it would be whether or not you're restricting access or controlling access in some way, shape, or form. Now, if it's an open area like a park and it's just something is happening there, you don't have an in or an out or those kind of things. But I think once you put a fence, or once you kind of section an area off and you're actually keeping track of who's coming in, it may make you liable to make sure that you are at least in trying to enforce that at the coming in kind of thing. Because that's what they do at Walmart. You know, you have to have your mask on walking in the door. Now, once you're in the store, there's no one following you around. But I think if you're choosing to control access, it may put you in a liability issue.
That'd be a great question for a solicitor to see, you know, how you can enforce that. And, you know, if you have direction from your solicitor saying, you know, in a controlled environment, we are or are not required to enforce it, then your supervisors almost have to support you. Because if your solicitor is saying you have to enforce it,
right,
and you go to your supervisors and they say, oh, no, you can say, oh, yes. This, you know, or your risk manager, you know, because that's where the lawsuits are going to come in.
I was on the PA Department of Health website yesterday, looking for new stuff to update our plan. But they have a very extensive reporting page now, where if you're worried about a business or people, you can actually, you know, take down all the information, send it out to them, and they'll make sure that it gets to an authority to go and check out the business. So.
Yeah, but I think that all comes back on the counties, doesn't it? Like, I know the Bucks County DA up here basically said, I'm not, you know, I'm not enforcing, like, I'm not being bothered. I don't have the manpower or the time to go and say this bar is sitting kids or people too close together, or this bar serves until, you know, without a piece of pizza sitting in front of you. Like, he just basically said, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I can understand that part too. It just.
And a lot is put back on the local police. And again, our police don't want, the last thing the police need right now is another reason to have a confrontation. I mean, that it's a shame. There's no good answer, and I'm not knocking the people who are making these decisions. I'm just trying to see what other people are doing if I'm missing the obvious answer here.
Yeah, it's the inconsistency and the inability to enforce it consistently, whatever your rules are that are making it crazy. And, you know, it's sort of a reflection of where people think, people think about everything.
Right.
It goes back to, I learned a long time ago, you shouldn't put a sign up if you can't enforce it. And that's like in parks, you know, people put signage up and it's unenforceable because you don't have law enforcement or you don't have park staff to enforce it. So it's kind of like going into the grocery store and it says masks are required. But yeah, I'm walking through the produce aisle with people without masks. So you can't put up signage if it's not enforced, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah. No,
it's very difficult if you're putting up signage and you're not enforcing it. So, you know, that required versus recommended. And
I hate the recommended and suggested signs. And
Right.
we have them all over our parks right now. We recommend, the CDC suggests you do this, and I hate them.
yeah, it's
Because all they do is junk up a park, in my opinion. They just
Right.
clutter it up.
Well, and it seems to make a difference depending on where you look too, because when I look at Department of Health for Pennsylvania, you know, they are saying that youth and adult recreational athletics, you know, are temporarily suspended indoor and outdoor. And that's not necessarily what we're seeing from the state as well, you know, so.
PIAA is letting athletics happen. So right there, it's a conflict. All right. I know we got a little off topic with the mask thing.
It was
Good
still very
topic.
helpful for me.
Oh, yes. No, I meant on required versus, you know, signed stuff. But any other movie, concert, special event questions that we can answer? I know I have to hop up in just a minute because I have to hop on another Zoom on another channel. And I know Dan can finish this out for me, but anything else that we can hit on this? And do we want to schedule another one as it relates specifically to special events solely, which we can definitely do, because it is different than programming. Programming is, I think, definitely different than special events. I mean, they're similar, but we can definitely do another special events roundtable if we think it's warranted.
I'm curious, has anyone designed a new special event because of this, or have people started having discussions on, you know, maybe the same old's not going to work anymore, so let's make something new? Has there been any new innovations because of some of these restrictions?
And I think that's a great question. And that's, until I get guidelines, I'm not doing that personally. We have our community day in September. I have a meeting with the Board of Health next week with the county health board, the department. And from that meeting, we're going to, then the committee for the community day is going to sit down and go, all right, we can business as usual, or no, we got to reinvent this. And we're just not at the point where we're ready to reinvent yet. And that's, you know, until we get that direction, which hopefully will occur next week, we're just not there. But I would love to see what other people are doing as well. You know, I say it all the time, I'll beg, borrow, and steal any good program idea somebody has.
When would be your critical decision point? I mean, can you wait till April? Can you wait till June, or does it have to be made in March?
So May, we meet every 2 weeks, the committee for the community fest. And our first May meeting, which I want to say is like the 5th or 6th, is the drop dead date for we're having it or not. From there, it can be, you know, we could tweak things along the way and say, okay, well, we're not having inflatables, but we can do the pony ride, but we can't do the petting zoo, and we can't do, with all that can kind of, you know, be tweaked as we go. But it's the drop dead date to decide if we're having the event is May 6th. And that's just, you know, looking out as long as we can put off deposits to bands and facilities and things like that.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough.
So basically 4 months is your critical lead time.
Right. And normally, I mean, by May, normally I'm going, all right, everything's planned and paid for, and now we're just, getting our volunteer list together. So it's going to be, because I try not to do that over the summer when it's already our busy time, but it's, that is what it, okay, I'll earn some comp hours, working nights this summer. That's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna have a nice vacation come the end of next year or the end of the year, maybe.
Well, that's the fight I have with my boss anyway. I've been here 22 years. I get enough vacation time and I can't take it, like basically Memorial Day to Labor Day. So come November, December, I'm only working 2 days a week, and it's a yearly fight about why do I save it up, but when I put a slip in for June, he rejects it. So it's, I'm not saving it. I can't use it and do my job. We're all in the same boat, I'm sure.
I was in education for 20 years, so I'm so used to having summers down that this has been a big change for me. So that's good.
I got to be honest, going back to youth sports, my kids play sports. I got a 16-year-old son who plays pretty high level travel baseball, and my daughter plays travel soccer. And this past summer, the tournament baseballs didn't play. The local Connie Mack and things played, and he played them, but they're just during the week. And my programming is way down. So for the first time in 20 years, I had every weekend free this summer. And we went down the shore, and we went fishing, and we went golfing, and we went hiking. And I had the best summer with my kids I could possibly. It was absolutely fantastic. And the thought that it's coming back and I'm not going to have it this summer is a little bit upsetting. But
yeah, that was a gift. It's a gift.
It really was. It was good. This has been, Dan, tremendously helpful for me. Even just raising more questions that I now where I have to think of. This has been very helpful for me.
Well, great. That's good, Mike. What I'm going to do is open it up again for any last minute questions. I notice we're coming near the end of our hour time, and we don't have to be on for the whole hour if we're sort of exhausted our questions. I did put in another link in the chat box, which you'll all get for the CDC for amusement parks and carnivals. So, so you get a little bit of an answer maybe for some of your carnival games and things like that. PRPS is gonna update their information for everyone. Bernie or Chris or Kylene or Margaret, any last minute questions or comments?
I just had a quick comment. I just want to thank everybody because honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as Mike and just kind of trying to take it all in and learn as much as I can to see what everyone else is doing. So I look forward to hearing more information as it comes available.
Good, yeah, and that's what we're planning on doing. We're all in the same boat here. I had to cancel we thought we were going to have in-person workshops this spring, and about a week or so ago, we decided that we're not. We're going to keep on the virtual and online, and we're going to wait and hope for the best for the fall for everybody and see what happens.
One recommendation I can add to people is that reach out to any local universities or community colleges or, higher education institutions in your areas, because they are in this special event kind of concern boat as well. And they always have orientations. They always have welcome sessions. They always have these normally large group gatherings, and they are in a similar situation that they don't necessarily have the same kind of resources or answers either. And so I've been reaching out to Penn State University quite a lot, and I've found the people that work for the facilities departments, the people that work on the ground doing some of this coordination, they have information that I didn't know about. And so they may be very valuable for you just to reach out, and they're happy to talk with you too, because they're normally busy, but without the students being there full time and with all the virtual going on, they have time to talk. And so I highly recommend reach out to some folks that you may never have thought to reach out to before.
Good idea.
Okay. Nick, you wanted to ask if you guys would like to have another special event roundtable? maybe later on, after things get clear again, or clear as mud again?
I absolutely would love to, but I would recommend, to your point, waiting until your reopening guidelines are updated and re-released, and maybe there's an update from the counties or the state. I don't think one in a week or two is helpful, but maybe in
Yeah.
a month or 6 weeks, it might be very good.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, sometime in late March, maybe.
Yeah, after the conference.
Yeah, we won't be doing much until after the conference, which is a great reminder. Thank you, Mike. If you haven't
Signed
signed
up
up
this morning.
already, good. Please do. Our annual conference, of course, is virtual this year, like everything else. But it does start on March 9th, and it goes, I think, every other day or every Wednesday, Friday. I can't remember exactly, but it's spaced out nicely so that you can still do your work at home and attend the conference at the same time. So please check us out, www.prps.org, and you can get all that information. Also, we got some roundtables. A therapeutic recreation roundtable is up at noon today. So if you've got a TR or a senior center, that might be down up your alley. Nikki mentioned the other roundtable on Thursday. I think that's also at noon.
Camp. Yeah.
Summer camp. So that should be a big one. All right.
Dan,
I don't
as a
see
quick
it.
aside, we have that. We're doing our de-escalation training on Thursday for D3.
Go ahead, plug it.
We have. I can't. We have filled our 100-person Zoom limit.
Wow.
So
That's great.
yeah.
And it's much needed because,
we should have
little
charged.
little story. My dad, earlier this year, passed from complications due to COVID. And I went into a Sheets the other day after the funeral and all that other stuff. We put him to rest. I mean, my dad was fairly old, as you can imagine, but I went into the Sheets, and like 2 out of the 5 customers were not wearing masks. And
Yep.
I was just livid. And the guy was as big as a tree. I'm about 5'8", and I went right up to him and told him to put on a mask, and it didn't work out so well. So I'll probably not go into Sheets again for a while, but I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just, it's a crazy time, and we really got to take care of everybody. Okay.
Yes, we do. Well, thank you, everybody. I got a lot out of this. Is greatly appreciated.